Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. And now to some pictures you sent to our Eyewitness portal. First is this one from Anambra State, showing pollution from a refuse dump on fire along New Oba Newi Road, Newi, causing visibility problems there. Our Eyewitness reporter wants relevant agencies to improve waste management in the state. Next is this one from Lagos, showing this live electricity pole hanging dangerously at the main gate of Ansarudeen College in Isolo, Lagos. Our Eyewitness reporter wants this to be taken care of as quickly as possible. And finally is this one from Warri in Delta State, showing a truck overloaded with empty baskets along the Agbo-Urumi Road. Our Eyewitness reporter wants road safety officials to keep an eye on such drivers to protect other road users. We do sincerely thank you so much indeed for sending in those pictures, as we ask that you keep them coming. The 2016 budget is set to have been prepared on a zero-based budgeting approach. As committees of the National Assembly work on the budget, some of the observations appear to contradict this position. Our correspondent Larry Lasisi reports.
22nd of December 2015, President Muhammadu Buhari presented here a budget, his first budget, which he titled the Budget of Change. Now, one of the things he made very clear will change was the budgeting style of government.
We are determined to ensure that our resources are managed prudently and utilized solely for the public good. To set the proper tone, one of our early decisions was the adoption of a zero-based budgeting approach, which ensures that the resources are aligned with government's priorities and allocated efficiently. This budgeting method, a clear departure from previous budgeting activities, will optimize the impact of public expenditure.
What exactly is this system of budgeting?
Well, the zero-based budgeting is a process and method of budgeting that involves starting everything from the zero base, starting everything from afresh, taking no assumptions that what has happened before is the best, and questioning every project and program that should go into the budget in such a way and manner as to get the best value for money, as to get the best for the nation in terms of welfare, in terms of the roads, in terms of the project.
Over the last 2 weeks, the National Assembly has been holding talks with agencies of government on the 2016 budget. It's been one issue after the other.
Government meant well when the concept of the zero budgeting came up. But I want that we might not be able to manage it. It's a good idea, but the challenges are huge. At the end of the day, when we looked at the budget, including submissions from the teaching hospitals, medical centers, agencies, everybody, it came down to 347 billion for health. And we got to only 335.7, which is about 10%.
There's not too much of the element of zero budget in the budget. Largely, it is still the traditional pattern of budgeting that we do have.
New ones you've seen.
For Eze Onyekwere, these observations are not surprising.
When you even begin to talk about zero-based budgeting, what are you looking at? What are the parameters? What shows the credibility of the budget? What is the policy upon which you are going to base the projected investment? So it was that kind of confusion last year that led us to where we are today. And everybody who is reasonable and can tell the truth can confess that this is nothing near the idea of a zero-based budget. This is some staccato, some confusion, some programming that nobody has understood. Is even worse than the last budgets we had from the previous administration.
He says this budgetary system can work if it is properly implemented.
The first things come first. We need to quickly get an overarching policy framework that sets out the vision of this administration in education, housing, health, roads, infrastructure, everywhere. Maybe link it up with Vision 2020 if they still believe in that. That's the first thing. And then we need to amend certain legislation and policies we currently have, because I cannot locate the zero-based budgeting within the framework of the Fiscal Responsibility Act.
For now, the country will have to work with the document before the National Assembly and maybe look forward to the future for a budget that will be prepared through the zero-based budgetary approach. Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
Well, I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by Professor Ken Ife, who's the lead consultant at the ECOWAS Commission, to shed some light on the zero-based budgeting procedure, which is said to have been adopted by the 2016 budget. I want to thank you so much indeed for joining us on the news at 10. Let's start like this. When we say a budget is zero-based, what does it mean?
Well, it's you assume nothing and you question everything. And that means you go to the highest level of transparency. And as a matter of fact, you would be much more efficient in the end. You got to understand this when you compare it to an existing traditional approach, which is incremental budgeting. In the incremental budgeting, budget managers simply explain any variation, either an increment or a decrement, but then continues to carry a huge load forward. Now, that is a problem for the new administration that wants to contract expenditure and release resources to address much more growth-enhancing and revenue and employment generation areas. And also, we are facing a huge challenge that we have dwindling resources, occasioned by the massive drop on our oil revenues and very low take-up of our sales figures. So we have all those challenges, and somehow we have to take this on board. There is always a temptation that when you have a new approach, there will be problems, and we're experiencing those problems. But that does not detract from the merit. And those merits are overwhelming of having this new system.
Is this an alien adoption of the budgetary system, do you suppose, for Nigeria?
I don't think so, because it does not do away with our strategic planning framework. It doesn't do away with our medium-term expenditure framework, which, of course, is supported by the fiscal strategy paper. And we still have our rolling plan. The issue is, come and justify any new line of expenditure or existing lines of expenditure. And in that way, you begin to unpack the historic liabilities, and there are more transparency in the system. Then you can defend it. Then, in fact, one big problem that it handles is that of budget implementation. And you've known that over the years, we've been so poor in our budget implementation. 35%, 45%, 70%, I've never seen anything more than 50, 55%. But the fact is that you will be on a new pedestal when you deploy the system, because you can now take a handle on your resources. And to be honest with you, we haven't got those resources right now. June last year, 2000, Central Bank was getting $3.2 billion every month. Now it's only $1 billion. Our outflow was just under $1 billion 15 year 2005, and now it's $4.66 billion. Where are you going to get this money? You earn $1 billion, and the demand on you is for $4.66 billion. You're not going to. Where are you going to get it? Your reserve is only $28 billion. You haven't got anything more than just around $2 billion in your excess crude. Where is the magic? The magic is not there. The leeway is not there. You got to sit on this matter and free resources so that this country can move forward. Unfortunately, 30% has been found for capital expenditure, with a commitment that the efficiency unit of the Ministry of Finance will continue to carry out efficiency scrutiny on all departments and MDAs. So there are more good news that are likely to come down the line. And also, as you could see, they just announced a few days ago that 2.2 trillion has come in over the last 3 months from revenue generation. So there is hope. But I would ask the National Assembly to please take this with a pinch of salt, be more compromised, understand the challenges that they are facing. Look at the civil servants have worked on the budget on a zero-based approach, And just as they were turning in the budget, ministers came in November. Ministers hardly had time to even take their brief and then look at how to give budgetary expression to their strategic priorities before the budget had to be rushed out to the assembly. So these are the circumstances that they are facing. So it's inevitable that there are going to be discrepancies. But
now this budget of change
at National Assembly is what is going to be spent.
I understand your passion.
What you appropriate. So
Professor Ken, I do understand your passion, but I must ask you also that this budget of change has been a subject of controversy, as you just said. So the federal lawmakers alleging at some point that some parts of the budget have been padded up. As a matter of fact, some have blamed this on the zero-based budgeting model. Does this mean that the system is prone to abuse?
I think it's too early to judge this system because it's still being implemented. It's just being implemented. And the ministers never even had enough time to scrutinize the budget in front of them, to align those budgets to their own new priorities, strategic priorities. And they all rushed to the assembly. So it's inevitable that what you are seeing is happening. But I don't see it from a criminal intent, but, except that I see it more in the spirit of the challenges of the times that we are going to implement a new system. So we should give that system a chance because it holds far more promise than anything we have seen over the last few years.
So what now do you suppose the country should be focusing on at the moment, maximizing the gains of this zero-based budgeting system? Where do we go from here?
The call is not... Oh, no.
Can you hear me? Apologies there, Professor Ken Ife. We lost communication with him there, but he's been speaking on the new zero-based budgeting system to us here on the News at 10. I want to thank him so much indeed for his time and his thoughts. In its attempt to sustain the dream of a megacity status, the Lagos State government has announced massive investments in infrastructural development, with roads as one of its priorities. Since the 2016 budget was passed into law, the present administration has been pursuing that aspect of development. Our next report focuses on rehabilitation works in selected communities in the state and the efforts by the contractors to meet the deadline.
Governor Akinwumi Ambode led some members of the Executive Council on a visit to the Ajasa Command and Abeson roads in Ikpaja, Ayobo Local Council Development Area, where he expressed displeasure at the state of the roads. He then ordered the reconstruction. Barely 2 weeks after the order was given, the Lagos State Public Works Corporation moved in. Construction work has started from Church Road leading to Abeson through Giwa Street.
This road has a length of 1.9 kilometers and is going to be dual carriageway. And at the end of Giwa, there is going to be a bridge that will link that community to Abeson so that it's going to ease traffic in that area.
Residents say the roads have been in bad shape for a very long time, but now they are pleased with the attention given to it.
In fact, the 2 days after, we saw these surveyors, yes, they came around to measure the road, and, it wasn't even up to 2 weeks. And we thank God that we can see the reality.
Most shops are being moved away to enable expansion.
It affected my shop here too, but I am happy because it will bring a lot of developments into the community.
The roads serve as alternative routes from Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway to about 6 local government areas. Besides the Ajasa Command and Abeson roads, there are several others also receiving the attention of the state government. One of them is Okota Road in Isolo. The road being rehabilitated by the State Public Works Corporation is a direct link to the Oshodi-Apapa Expressway. The Agor Palace Way is also being constructed. One part of the 3.05-kilometer dual carriage road was completed in December 2015. The other carriageway, which started in January, is being attended to with speed. The contractor, Chinese Engineering Construction Company, is doing all it can to meet the February deadline given by the state government.
We've gotten to about a kilometer now on the interlocking. By the ending of February, I think we should be through with the interlocking. And what will now commence is the road furnitures, which are the signages and the street lights.
Agor is a waterlogged area, and the design is provided for it. The use of interlocking stones is meant to make the carriageway solid and able to carry heavy vehicles. The quality of work done on the road is already putting smiles on the faces of residents who before now experienced gridlock and flooding as a result of the bad roads.
When the road was bad, a lot of people moved out of the area. So, but now, if you can see, even landlords, everybody are happy because a lot of things is happening.
You could be on the road for 1 or 2 hours before you either get to your house or you get to your office. But now with this, especially even for the first part that is already opened, it's a lot easier for us.
The news of the construction of the Agor Palace Way is beginning to attract businesses into the area. The road serves as a major link and an alternative route to several communities up to the Oshodi-Apapa Expressway.
When the news at 10 returns, a burglary gone awry. Yes, that's in Jos, the Plateau State capital. You may have a lesson or two to learn from it. Stay with us.